They say betrayal feels like a knife in the back. But when it's your sister holding the blade and your husband helping her drive it deeper, that's a whole different kind of pain. The kind that doesn't bleed, it burns. It all started on an unusually quiet morning. The kind of silence that feels heavy, like the air itself is waiting for something to snap. I was working from home, sipping on lukewarm coffee, when I heard shouting outside. Not the kind of raised voices you brush off either. This was guttural, raw, personal. At first, I thought someone left the TV on, but then I realized it was real, outside. My curiosity got the better of me. I pulled the curtain just slightly, enough to see without being obvious. And that's when I saw her, my neighbor, barefoot, messy bun, tank top clinging to her shoulder, pajama pants riding high. She was standing on the porch, screaming at her husband as he dragged a massive suitcase down the steps toward his car. Her voice cracked as she yelled, "So you're just gonna walk out after everything?" He didn't say a word, just kept walking, head down, like she wasn't even there. She screamed again, "Be a man for once and say it to my face!" He tossed the suitcase into the trunk with a loud thud and slammed it shut. "You'll regret this when she leaves you too," she shouted, voice breaking. That's when I froze. She. Not a vague, angry they. No, she. There was someone else, and my gut knew this was about to spiral. 10 minutes. That's how long the silence lasted before part 2 of this suburban soap opera arrived. A sleek silver BMW pulled up, and out stepped her sister. That's when I dropped my iced coffee. Picture this. She looked like she walked off a set of Real Housewives. Hair curled, sunglasses perched on her head like a crown, skin glowing, heels clicking on the driveway like she owned the whole damn street. And without even a second to breathe, my neighbor stormed down from the porch. "Oh, of course you show up now." Her sister didn't flinch. He needed someone who listens to him for once. That's when it exploded. Fingers flying, words slicing through the air, the kind of yelling that makes your chest tight just hearing it. My neighbor shoved her sister. Not hard, just enough to scream without words. "You betrayed me." I had one foot out the door, ready to jump in if it turned physical. I was texting my husband every second. "You won't believe what's happening." And then, the line. "He was my husband, and you were supposed to be my sister." Silence. Her sister didn't yell, didn't even blink. She just said, "He told me you'd do this," and got back in her car like she hadn't just lit the world on fire. My neighbor stood frozen. Her chest rose and fell like she was trying to breathe without falling apart. Then she turned, walked back inside, and closed the door. I thought it was over. But chaos has a way of echoing. Half an hour later, the sound of glass clinking pulled my attention back. I looked out again, upstairs this time, and saw her. Same porch, same blank stare, but now she was slowly tossing empty wine bottles into the trash. One by one, loud, deliberate, like each toss was a scream she couldn't say out loud. And then, with her hands shaking, she sat on the curb, pulled out a cigarette, first time I'd ever seen her smoke, and lit it. She didn't cry. She didn't move. She just sat there. My cat curled beside me on the windowsill, like even he knew we were watching something sacred. Or tragic. No one came back. No husband. No sister. The blinds went down. The lights dimmed. The house went silent. But the story? It was only just beginning. That night, I did something I've never done before. I cooked her dinner. Nothing fancy, just steak, some pasta, garlic bread, and a few of my husband's brownies. I didn't expect much. I just wanted her to feel seen. She opened the door fast. I thought she'd slam it when she saw me, but she didn't. She blinked, then smiled. Barely, but enough. "You didn't have to do that." She let me in. The house was dim. The kitchen was cleaner than I expected, almost too clean, like she'd wiped every counter hoping to erase a memory. We sat at the table. Her wine glass was full, and I didn't ask questions. Just handed her the plate and waited. That's when she exhaled. Not a sigh, not a breath. It was like her soul cracked. She told me everything. The affair, the lies, the moment she saw a message on his iPad. Not even something dramatic, just a casual, "miss you already," followed by a heart. And she knew. The universe doesn't whisper when it wants you to know the truth. It slaps you across the face. She confronted him. He didn't even deny it. Said it had been going on for months. Said she didn't care anymore. That she shut him out, that she made it easy to cheat, and here's the twist, she agreed. "I wasn't emotionally available for months," she said, sipping wine like it was water. "I was busy being me. And I guess I just thought he'd stay miserable and loyal like a good husband is supposed to." That was the first time I saw her smirk, like the villain in her own story. And then she said it. "I just didn't think he'd be that dumb, that predictable, that weak." She went on. About her sister, the rivalry, the decades of jealousy, the comparisons, how their mother always favored her, how her sister always wanted what she had. And now she took it. She wasn't crying. She wasn't angry. She was calculating. Cold. She told her mom not to speak to her sister. Told her friends what happened, her version. She controlled the narrative before anyone could twist it. She admitted she'd emotionally checked out of the marriage a year ago, but stayed because she wanted to be the one left behind. "I like the upper hand in every exit," she said, like it was a game. And then she leaned forward, eyes locked on mine, tone low. "People like me don't get betrayed. We get tested, and the ones who fail get removed." Chills. I don't know what I expected when I walked over with a plate of food. Maybe a breakdown, maybe guilt, but not this. Not calm fury. The husband never came back. Probably holed up with the sister, playing house in some fake version of reality where betrayal doesn't stink. She blocked them both, closed her doors. But not before burning everything on the way out. Social media, mutual friends, even their Netflix account. Petty? Maybe. But also tactical. Controlled. She didn't lose her temper. She dismantled two people's lives with a glass of wine and a smirk. Before I left, I turned back to ask her if she was okay. She just looked at me, glass in hand, and said, "At least I didn't lose anything important, just two people I outgrew anyway. And maybe that's her way of coping, or maybe that's just who she is." Either way, it was revenge, quiet, clean, and unforgettable. The kind that doesn't scream, it whispers, and leaves a scar. The next morning, her blinds stayed shut. But I knew she was awake. You could feel it, the weight behind those windows, like someone wide-eyed and silent, not broken, not weeping, just recalculating, waiting. Her husband's car never returned. And as for her sister, radio silence. No dramatic apology. No screaming match round two. Just stillness. And that, somehow, made it even louder. I went on with my day, but I kept checking the street like a movie was about to resume. I wasn't the only one either. Neighbors slowed their walks when passing her house. Curtains twitched. Everyone could feel the shift. The air had changed. She didn't post anything online. No cryptic quotes, no pity baits, just silence. And that terrified people more than rage ever could. A woman like that doesn't go quiet unless she's planning something. And trust me, she was. 3 days later, the revenge began. Not with a bang, but with a subtle, almost elegant cruelty. She contacted her husband's boss, not out of spite, but because he'd used company resources to book hotel rooms, traced through the same iPad he never logged out of. She had receipts, screenshots, times, dates, even room service orders. She didn't accuse. She didn't rant. She forwarded the evidence anonymously. 2 days later, his LinkedIn said, "Open to work." He was fired. No drama. Just gone. A man who cheated and thought he was starting fresh now had to do it unemployed, under the roof of the woman he destroyed his marriage for. And it didn't stop there. Her sister. Oh, she didn't forget her. Remember how I said she blocked her? That was for show. Behind the scenes, she was playing chess. See, the sister had a new job too. Small influencer gig, beauty and lifestyle, all smiles, all filters. Her brand revolved around female empowerment and honesty. My neighbor leaked everything, not in some petty group chat. No, she sent the entire story with evidence to the brand's PR head. With one brutal subject line, "Is this the kind of woman who represents your values?" That influencer contract? Terminated. Posts deleted. Brand statement released about reevaluating partnerships. And her sister? Scrubbed off their page in 24 hours. Her online presence didn't just fall apart, it was wiped. She went dark. No more brunch outfits. No more inspirational captions. Nothing. Gone. My neighbor didn't celebrate. She didn't even smirk. She just gardened. I saw her trimming roses the same day the news broke. Peaceful, precise, like nothing had ever happened. But I knew. I knew what I was watching. Not healing. Not distraction. That was ritual. The final cleanse. She had turned pain into power, not through screaming matches or dramatic public breakdowns, but through cold, calculated execution. She dismantled 2 lives with dignity intact, mascara unbothered. And maybe some people would still see her as the villain, emotionally distant, cold, maybe even dangerous. But me? I saw a woman who refused to be broken, a woman who refused to let betrayal become her identity. She didn't ask for revenge. She became it, the kind that doesn't wear armor or wield weapons, the kind that sits quietly with a glass of wine, watches the chaos she triggered, and doesn't blink. Days passed, then a week. Her house remained quiet. Her garden looked better than ever. She waved at me one morning, just once. No words, no update, just a wave. And in that tiny motion was a message loud enough to shake mountains. I survived. And they didn't. Some revenge stories end with confrontation, explosions, legal threats. But the best ones? They end like this, with the ones who left thinking they won, slowly realizing they lost everything that mattered, and the one who stayed behind, blooming. If you felt that power, let me know in the comments. What would you have done if your own blood betrayed you? And don't forget to subscribe, because in the world of betrayal, karma doesn't knock, she lets herself in. So tell me, who really got hurt in the end? If you felt that burn too, hit like and drop your thoughts in the comments. What would you have done in her place? And for more true stories where karma doesn't miss, subscribe. Because sometimes, real life writes the best revenge.